Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we take the concepts that often feel complicated, frustrating, or downright paralyzing in your life and turn them into clear, actionable roadmaps. If you've ever scrolled through social media, looked at a peer's promotion, or maybe walked into a friend's newly renovated home and felt that sickening twist of comparison, the kind that makes you want to quit before you even start, then this deep dive is specifically for you.
Yeah, that feeling, it's almost universal, isn't it? The one that triggers procrastination, maybe makes you feel stuck and just turns someone else's success into your own personal self-torture chamber. We've all been there. But today, we are diving into a really powerful framework that honestly completely flips that destructive narrative on its head.
Okay, I'm intrigued already. What's the source for this magic flip?
Well, our source material today is drawn from Mel Robbins' Let Them theory. We're focusing intently on Chapter 10, which, I have to say, has an extremely bold title.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
It's called How to Make Comparison Your Teacher.
Okay, I love that. How to make comparison your teacher. That immediately changes the entire frame, doesn't it? Because this isn't just about coping with jealousy or finding ways to, ignore successful people.
Yeah.
It's about, it sounds like, weaponizing that uncomfortable emotion, turning it into something useful.
That's precisely it. It's about transforming envy, that feeling we usually try to suppress, from a wall that stops you dead in your tracks, into maybe the clearest possible roadmap guiding you forward.
So for you listening right now, our mission today is pretty laser-focused. We are going to extract the exact formula from this chapter for turning that gut-wrenching envy, that insecurity, into usable, immediate fuel.
Yeah, our goal is that by the time we finish this deep dive, you never look at someone else's victory and feel paralyzed again.
Right.
Or at least you'll know what to do with that feeling. You won't feel defeated. You'll actually feel instructed.
Instructed, okay.
Yeah.
Because the framework, right at the start, establishes this crucial dichotomy, this split, that we need to get our heads around.
Yes. It basically says there are two fundamental types of comparison.
Right. There's the type we all know too well, the one that leaves you stuck, procrastinating, agonizing. That's the self-torture part.
The painful part.
But the key to liberation, according to this theory, is recognizing the second type, the comparison that actually teaches you something useful, something achievable, and something, crucially, immediately actionable.
That's the teacher. And just learning to recognize the difference between the two, that's the absolute first step toward reclaiming your power in these situations.
So it's the difference between looking at someone's life and just feeling like completely defeated.
Right, overwhelmed.
Versus looking at their life and thinking, oh, okay, I see, that's the path. That's what consistent work actually looks like in the real world.
Exactly. It shifts from a judgment on you to data about the process.
Okay, so if the goal is making comparison our teacher, not our torturer, how do we actually tell the difference in the moment when we're feeling that sting? The key has to be in what we're comparing, right?
Absolutely. It comes down to the specifics. The framework gives you a remarkably straightforward test for what it calls good, or let's say instructional comparison.
Okay, what's the test?
It's this. If you are observing aspects of someone else's life, maybe their career advancement, their fitness level, their financial situation, even their, seemingly perfect relationship or friend group.
The stuff that makes you sigh heavily.
Exactly. If those are things you could logically, realistically create for yourself through dedicated time, consistent effort, and, importantly, developing the necessary skills, then that comparison isn't an attack. It's your teacher speaking.
So it's providing data on achievable results. It's saying, look, this outcome is possible through action.
Precisely. It means we stop comparing ourselves to things that are genuinely fixed, like, being born into royalty or having a specific genetic gift for, say, basketball height.
Right, things outside our control.
And instead, we start looking closely at outcomes that clearly required effort, strategy, and persistence.
That makes so much sense. It shifts the comparison from being about some kind of intrinsic worth, they're better than me, to being about extrinsic action. They did something I haven't done yet.
Exactly. And that shift is critical because, according to this theory, the list of things that are not fixed in stone, the things that are achievable through effort, is incredibly expansive, way bigger than we usually think.
How expansive are we talking? Because often we dismiss big achievements as just luck or they must have had connections or whatever.
Well, the theory pushes back hard against that. It says we often make those excuses when, in reality, these big things are almost always the result of consistent, often boring, definitely unglamorous hard work done over time.
Okay, let's unpack this list then. Because if it's as big as you say, it could fundamentally redefine what we should even consider comparing ourselves about. It sounds like it moves beyond just small habit tweaks.
Oh, it absolutely does. We're talking about major, life-altering changes, the kinds of things people compare themselves over daily, feeling hopeless, but that the theory insists are entirely within their sphere of influence if they choose to act.
Like what specifically? Give me some examples.
Okay, so think about a complete career change. Not just getting a small promotion, but shifting industries entirely. That's learnable,
Yeah.
doable.
Okay.
Achieving genuine financial freedom, not just, saving an extra 50 quid a month, but building real wealth.
Big goal.
Huge goal, but achievable through strategy and discipline. Fundamentally improving your social life, maybe creating a better, more supportive friend group, or finding a lasting sense of purpose. These aren't fixed personality traits. They're outcomes of effort.
And the source material apparently gets really specific about the tangible stuff too, right? The status symbols that often trigger the worst jealousy, precisely because they signal someone put in the work.
Oh yeah, it goes right there. It names the kind of luxury items we might torture ourselves over. Buying a huge engagement ring, or that fancy sports car, or acquiring property, whether that's renovating a dream kitchen, buying a second home.
The stuff you see on Instagram and immediately feel inadequate about.
Exactly. Or even achieving peak physical fitness, having visible abs or running a marathon. These things scream effort and discipline.
And what about the creative or business side? The things maybe you, listening, or dreaming about but feel stuck on?
That's covered too. The list includes goals like finally writing the book you've always talked about, launching that side business, doing the hard work of healing deep-seated trauma, or even gaining visibility through building a large social media following.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot. From finances to fitness to followers.
And the crucial thread connecting all these seemingly different goals is that they all require learned skills and consistent application. They don't require magic or inherent genius or a lucky break, fundamentally. They require work.
Okay, so this huge detailed list is meant to drive home what the theory calls the 95% rule, right? You mentioned this earlier. Tell me more about that because it sounds like the core belief system here.
It really is. The 95% rule is the foundational belief. It states quite simply that 95% of the things you truly want in life, the things you compare yourself to others about, are things you can create for yourself.
95%, that seems high.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the condition is crucial. You can create them if you commit to 4 specific characteristics: being hardworking, being consistent, being disciplined, and this is often the hardest one, being patient.
Hardworking, consistent, disciplined, patient. Okay.
This belief directly challenges that narrative we often tell ourselves, that our circumstances are static or that other people have advantages we could never overcome.
But I can already hear people listening thinking, okay, but what about my specific situation? What about the real obstacles I face? Surely my dream falls into that other 5% that's just impossible for me. How does the theory address that very real feeling?
That's a really important question. The theory suggests that the 5% that's truly fixed involves immutable facts. Things like the laws of physics, your actual chronological age right now, or maybe a specific unchangeable geographical constraint, concrete realities.
So not things like, I'm not good at math or I don't have the confidence.
Exactly. According to this logic, almost everything else, including things like confidence or mathematical ability, requires either learning a new skill or applying sustained effort over time. So if you compare yourself to a friend who's achieved financial freedom, that's not a fixed 5% situation. That outcome likely required, say, 10 years of them diligently budgeting, learning about investing, making strategic career moves, maybe sacrificing things along the way.
Right, it wasn't magic.
No. The only thing truly fixed about your own financial situation in that comparison is your current set of behaviors and skills. The 95% is the action zone. It's where you have agency.
Okay, thinking about it that way really does start to dismantle that scarcity mindset, doesn't it? The feeling that feeds the worst kind of comparison.
The crippling kind.
Yeah, where we see someone achieve something we want, and deep down we feel like they took a slice of the success pie that was meant for us. Like, there's only so much to go around.
And that scarcity mindset is incredibly dangerous psychologically, because it leads directly to the conviction that other people's wins are somehow our losses.
Which feels terrible.
It feels awful, and it's paralyzing. The theory combats this head-on with what it calls the principle of limitless success.
Limitless success. Okay.
This principle basically dictates that good things, success, happiness, opportunity, even money, are in limitless supply. No one can actually steal your potential or your unique dream life. They can only demonstrate that a path to achieving something similar exists. They expand the realm of possibility.
So if someone has a cooler job, a bigger house, a seemingly better life than you could even imagine for yourself right now, the theory doesn't tell you to resent them or feel bad about yourself.
No, quite the opposite. It tells you to immediately adopt the let them mindset.
Let them. Explain that.
It's an active mental stance. Let them have their success. Let them have gotten there first. Let them have figured out the smartest, most efficient way to do it. Why? Because their achievement isn't a judgment on you, it's data. It gives you the formula.
Their success is the formula.
Yes, it's evidence that the thing can be done. Their win provides the roadmap. It's like getting a free consultation on how to achieve the thing you want.
Whereas the danger of the old scarcity mindset is that if you view their win as your loss, you feel instantly defeated before you even contemplate starting.
Exactly. And that fuels doubt, cynicism, maybe anger, and ultimately, it fuels active procrastination. You end up arguing against the very success you claim you want, finding reasons why it's impossible for you. Oh, they must have cheated, or it was easier for them, or that wouldn't work in my situation.
Which is exhausting.
Totally exhausting, and a complete waste of energy. The material really hammers this home. You should realize they just expanded your possibilities by proving it can be done. When you see someone achieve something amazing, instead of getting upset, you should be getting curious. Analyze their process. How did they do it? What steps did they take?
Turn envy into analysis.
Precisely. Their success is your unrequested free masterclass on how the thing you desire can actually be achieved in the real world.
Okay, this is a powerful reframing. But to make this shift really stick, from seeing a rival as a threat to seeing them as maybe an accidental mentor, we probably need a concrete example.
Absolutely. Theory is great, but stories make it real. Let's dive into the first main case study presented in the source material, the story of Molly, the interior designer.
Molly, the interior designer. Okay, set the scene.
So Molly is presented as like a classic example of stalled potential in one specific area. She's undeniably extremely talented at her core craft interior design. She has a successful business. She has employees. Her work is consistently beautiful, high-quality stuff.
Sounds like she's doing well, so what's the problem?
The problem, the area where she was strategically stuck, was self-promotion, marketing, social media, updating her online presence, the business side of the business, essentially.
Or, okay, a common struggle for creatives.
Very common.
Yeah.
And she knew it was a problem. She apparently repeatedly asked for advice on how to get herself out there, how to update her brand image. But the advice she received was always simple, almost frustratingly simple.
Why frustratingly simple?
Because it was all about taking small, consistent steps, the reps, as the theory calls them later, that she just wasn't doing. She knew what to do, but didn't do it.
Can we list some of those steps? Because
Yeah.
I think that highlights the gap between knowing and actually doing.
Sure. The advice was things like, post something on social media every single day, even if it's just a quick behind-the-scenes photo.
Yeah.
Create short, simple videos explaining the why behind her design choices for a project.
Okay, practical.
Consistently post detailed before and after photos, which are goals for designers. Maybe hire a part-time intern specifically to handle video editing and scheduling posts. Or just take one free online course focusing only on optimizing one platform, like Instagram or Pinterest.
So nothing revolutionary, just basic, consistent action.
Exactly. The core problem wasn't a lack of complex strategy. It was a fundamental lack of execution on the basics, analysis paralysis.
And Molly stayed stuck in that loop, thinking about it, planning it, but not doing it.
Pretty much. Waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect strategy, maybe the perfect burst of energy, until the downward spiral hit. And this is really key to the theory. The catalyst wasn't some huge, famous, untouchable celebrity designer she could easily dismiss.
Who was it then?
It was, get this, a highly irritating neighborhood acquaintance. Someone Molly knew personally and had mentally categorized as, quote, not exactly her favorite person.
Oh no, that's always worse, isn't it?
Always. And this acquaintance, who, as far as Molly knew, had zero formal interior design experience or training, suddenly decided to launch her own design business.
Ouch, right in the neighborhood.
Right there. And this is where the comparison becomes painful enough, personal enough, to actually be useful, to break through the inertia.
So what specifically triggered Molly? What sent her spiraling?
It was visceral. First, the rival social media posts were immediately, inexplicably blowing up, getting thousands of likes, tons of engagement, The kind of traction Molly's professional established page never saw.
Oh, that stings.
Then the neighborhood chatter started. People talking about how talented this newcomer was, based purely on her online presence.
Ouch.
But the absolute final, most humiliating straw. Molly, in a moment of weakness we've all had, went to stalk the woman's website.
Oh, we've all done the hate scroll.
Totally. And the rival's website was modern, clean, strategically designed, really impressive. And in that exact moment, Molly realized her own professional website, the public face of her actual, established, talented business, hadn't been updated in 3 years.
Oh, wow. That's a brutal realization, the contrast.
Brutal. The internal panic must have been immediate and just incredibly intense. That feeling of, she is going to steer my clients, mixed with, how does she even know how to do all this stuff so fast?
Yeah.
And the kicker, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah, that last one is the real dagger, isn't it? The self-recrimination.
It is.
Okay.
Because that emotional response, the panic, the anger, is actually pure argument against the opportunity the situation presents. Molly wasn't just arguing that this rival shouldn't be successful.
Right.
She was simultaneously, maybe unconsciously, ignoring the fact that the rival's success was basically a massive, flashing, unavoidable signpost.
Right.
Pointing directly to all the essential work Molly herself had ignored for years.
So that sting of being beaten to the punch, especially by someone you mentally categorize as less qualified or less experienced, that's the specific kind of pain the theory says is useful.
That's exactly the kind of pain the theory targets, because it forces you, it absolutely compels you to acknowledge your own inertia. You can't easily dismiss it like you could with a celebrity.
Okay, let's pause on Molly's pain for a second, because the theory takes a really interesting, maybe counterintuitive turn here. It doesn't tell Molly to just block the rival or try to rationalize the comparison away or just think positive.
No, it does something much more powerful.
Yeah.
It introduces this crucial reframing, which is really the heart of the comparison as teacher principle. And the phrase is, jealousy is an invitation from your future self.
Jealousy is an invitation from your future self.
Okay, unpack that. That's not how we usually think about jealousy at all.
Not at all. We usually label it as toxic, negative, something to get rid of immediately. But this reframing changes everything. If you see someone achieve something you want and you feel that strong, uncomfortable pang of jealousy,
The theory says that feeling isn't just noise. It's actually an instruction. It's your future self, the version of you that has achieved that thing, whispering or maybe shouting, hey, look closely over here, pay attention, do not feel inferior, see what is possible for you.
So it's a signal, not a verdict.
Exactly. It demands tactical analysis, not emotional retreat or self-flagellation. It's data collection time.
Okay, so applying that to Molly, if the rival, the annoying neighbor, was suddenly successful online, the teacher principal says Molly should think, let them lead.
Yes, let them lead. She wasn't primarily a threat. She was functioning as a teacher, leading the way. She was demonstrating, undeniably, that the formula for online visibility works, and crucially, that it's accessible to people who are willing to learn and do the work.
So Molly should have thought, okay, she's showing me it's possible. How did she do that?
Precisely. The source material actually encourages us to literally use the rival as motivation in these moments. To say to yourself, okay, let them wake me up. Let them dazzle me with their beautiful web design, because now I know I can learn to replicate that process too.
That's the essential shift, isn't it? Moving from passive self-pity, why not me, to active data collection. How did they do that, and what can I learn?
Yes. You stop focusing obsessively on their outcome and start focusing intently on their process. What steps did they take? What skills did they learn? What consistency did they demonstrate?
But this raises a really fascinating and critical question, one that the source material apparently anticipates. Why did it have to be this annoying local person for Molly? Why couldn't she have been motivated ages ago by, I don't know, some famous, untouchable celebrity designer with a massive budget and a huge team? Why did the comparison have to be so painful and personal?
This is where the psychology gets really interesting, according to the theory. It argues that if you aren't already internally motivated to make a change, if you're stuck in inertia like Molly was, it often requires something painful, immediate, and personal to force that change.
Okay.
Think about it. Molly had presumably seen famous designers succeed online for years. Why didn't that motivate her?
Because it was easy to dismiss, maybe? Easy to say, oh, well, they have resources I don't have, they have connections, a huge team, a special platform, they're just special.
Exactly. That creates distance. It preserves the excuse. It lets you off the hook. Of course they can do it, but I can't because.
But this rival, the annoying neighbor, Molly knew her. She knew, or at least believed, that this neighbor had no special advantage, talent, or resources that Molly herself didn't also possess or couldn't acquire.
And that proximity, that lack of perceived specialness in the rival, is the absolute key to activating the teaching element of the comparison. The rival's success, because it felt achievable, forced a simple, unavoidable, and yes, painful realization right into Molly's face.
Which was?
The realization was simply, if she can do it, then you can do it too. There's no escaping that logic when the person succeeding is someone you see as ordinary or even somehow less than.
Wow. So that kind of comparison forces you to look directly in the mirror and confront every single excuse you've built up.
It dismantles them. The rival didn't have a superpower. They didn't get lucky in some cosmic lottery. They simply did the boring, learnable, consistent work that Molly had been avoiding.
So the intense anger Molly felt, it wasn't actually anger at the other person, fundamentally.
The theory argues no. It's redirected self-anger. It's anger because deep down Molly knew she could have started sooner. She knew she had the talent. She knew what needed to be done, and she didn't do it. The rival just held up a very unwelcome mirror to that inaction.
Okay, but that self-anger feels pretty destructive too. How is that helpful?
Well, while it's uncomfortable, the source material instructs us not to shy away from it, but to harness it. That anger, that frustration, that feeling of being left behind serves as the essential fuel needed to, quote, galvanize your power and finally force yourself into motion.
So the pain is the motivator.
In cases of deep inertia, yes. If you didn't feel the sting, if it didn't genuinely bother you, you'd probably just keep making excuses and stay exactly where you are. The discomfort is the catalyst for change.
Okay, let's look at another example provided in the material to hammer this home. The errand down the hall example. What's that about?
Right, this is a classic scenario. Imagine there's someone you know, maybe a colleague like Aaron down the hall. For months, maybe even years, you're vaguely aware that Aaron is working on something on the side. Maybe he's building a custom boat business in his garage at night and on weekends.
Okay, you see him tired sometimes. Maybe he skips after-work drinks.
Exactly. You see him diligently putting in the hours, chipping away at it in the dark. Well, maybe you're more focused on immediate gratification, social activities, relaxing after work. Then, suddenly, one day, Aaron walks in and announces he's quit the corporate job to work on his boat business full-time.
Whoa.
And he looks different, maybe happier, freer, more alive than you've ever seen him, and definitely more than you feel in your current situation.
Okay, I can feel the jealousy rising just hearing the story.
Right. And why does it make you jealous?
Yeah.
The theory says it's precisely because you know Aaron. You ate lunch next to him for a year. You know he doesn't have a secret trust fund. You know he wasn't magically gifted with boat building skills overnight. He just started and kept going.
Seeing a peer succeed removes the most comfortable excuse we have, doesn't it? The belief that massive success or change is only for special people with advantages we don't possess.
It completely removes it. Aaron just started putting in the work, consistently, probably when nobody was watching or cheering him on. And now he's stepping into a whole new life because of it. That's why, the theory argues, it had to be someone like Aaron or someone like Molly's neighbor. They provide the uncomfortable, irrefutable data point. You are fully capable of achieving something similar, provided you are willing to put in the same kind of boring, consistent, unglamorous effort over time.
Okay, so the comparison, especially the painful kind with peers, serves its purpose. It wakes us up, shows us what's possible, maybe makes us angry enough at ourselves to finally act. What's the next step then, according to the theory?
So once we've hopefully moved past that initial paralysis and we've successfully used the let them mindset to stop resenting and start analyzing, gathering that data, the theory demands a critical shift, a shift into action.
This is where the work begins.
This is where the rubber meets the road. We move from passively observing and saying, okay, let them succeed, to actively demanding of ourselves, right, now let me start.
I like that shift in focus.
It's crucial. The comparison, if we've used it correctly, successfully showed you the exact areas of your life that need attention. Maybe it's learning a new skill for work. Maybe it's getting serious about a financial strategy. Maybe it's finally addressing physical health. The comparison highlighted the gap.
And the theory says the time for excuses is over now.
Officially over.
Yeah.
No more internal debates, no more analysis paralysis, no more I'll start tomorrow. Now is the time to start putting in the actual work required to bridge that gap.
And this shift into action, this work phase, is summarized by that core phrase you mentioned earlier, right?
Yes. The core action phrase is, success is about putting in the reps.
Putting in the rep, like at the gym.
Exactly like at the gym, but applied to everything. This idea is the absolute antithesis of our instant gratification culture. It acknowledges that real achievement, the kind you're probably comparing yourself to, means showing up every single day or consistently over time to do the boring, the irritating, the often uncomfortable work that doesn't immediately pay off.
Can we define reps more broadly? Because it's easy to picture lifting weights, but how does it apply to, say, writing a book or getting finances in order?
Great question. It applies across the board. So if your comparison trigger is someone else's financial independence,
Yeah.
the reps might look like spending 30 minutes every weekday morning analyzing your budget and tracking expenses before checking email, or consistently reading one dense article about investment strategies every Saturday morning, even when you'd rather be sleeping in. It's the small, repeated, unexciting actions.
Okay. What if the trigger is someone who seems to have really strong boundaries or great emotional health? What are the reps for that?
Good one. The reps there might be practicing 5 minutes of mindful meditation every single day, even when you feel silly doing it. Or the really hard rep, consistently saying no to requests or commitments that drain your energy, even when it feels awkward or risks disappointing someone. Each no is a rep strengthening that boundary muscle.
Or for Molly, the designer, the reps were posting daily, making those videos.
Exactly. Posting one photo, editing one short video clip, researching one social media tactic. Those are the reps.
Boring.
Yes. Irritating.
Uh-huh.
Probably. Essential. Absolutely.
And this is where the psychological hurdle feels highest, isn't it? Because those beginning reps are often the hardest, and you don't see results right away.
Oh, absolutely. That's the danger zone. You start putting in the reps you post to social media like Molly was advised to, and maybe only 2 people like the post, and one of them is your mom.
Right. Discouraging.
Or you start budgeting meticulously, and you realize you actually have negative savings right now. That initial lack of positive feedback, that confrontation with the current reality, makes us desperately want to quit and go back to the comfort of inaction or complaining.
So how do we push through that?
That inertia, that desire to quit when it's hard and unrewarding, is precisely what keeps, frankly, probably 95% of people stuck. The framework uses a great insight, reportedly from the famous quarterback Tom Brady, to underscore this exact point.
Oh, yeah. What did Brady say?
He apparently said something along the lines of, "The truth is you don't have to be special. You just have to be what most people aren't. Consistent, determined, and willing to work for it."
Consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. Not special.
Not inherently special, no. Think about it. Most people are willing to work hard for maybe a week or a month, especially if they're feeling motivated initially. But very few are willing or able to work consistently for, say, 5 years on something without needing massive external validation or immediate results. That consistency over the long haul, that is the special factor. It's rare.
If we loop back to the Molly case study, this concept of reps explains her intense pain so completely, doesn't it?
Totally. Her jealousy wasn't just about the rival's sudden success. Deep down, it stemmed from seeing the tangible fruits of someone else's months, maybe even a year, of consistent, boring, hard effort that she hadn't been willing to undertake.
That beautiful website didn't just magically appear overnight.
Absolutely not. That savvy social media strategy wasn't luck. It was learned and executed. While Molly was busy analyzing, making excuses, "I'm too busy, I'm established, I shouldn't have to do this, I don't know how," the other woman was putting in the reps.
She was researching website templates, maybe watching YouTube tutorials on social media algorithms, learning how to use Canva or video editing software, scheduling all those posts late at night.
Exactly. All that hidden, unglamorous work. The deep pain Molly felt wasn't just envy. It was rooted in the sharp, sudden awareness that she could have been doing that exact same work herself, maybe a year or 2 ago. She had wasted valuable time arguing with reality when the formula the reps required was readily available and achievable for her too.
And this brings us to a really crucial point about energy, doesn't it? The theory seems to suggest that if you're truly serious about achieving big goals, financial freedom, writing that book, getting healthy, you literally cannot afford to waste your emotional energy on jealousy.
You cannot afford it. Emotional energy, mental bandwidth, it's a finite resource each day. If you spend 3 hours stewing over your rival's Instagram posts or analyzing Aaron's boat business plan out of spite,
Yeah.
then you have 3 fewer hours of focused, proactive energy available to put into your own reps. That's just basic maths. Applying the let them let me framework is designed to short-circuit that waste.
How so?
It allows you to quickly, 1, Recognize the comparison trigger. There's that feeling.
Mm.
2, consciously choose let them to extract the useful data. Okay, what can I learn here? What are they doing right?
Yeah.
And 3, immediately rechannel that hot, activated emotional energy, the jealousy, the frustration into let me, into actual execution on your plan.
So it turns a potentially destructive force into a productive one.
Exactly. It's energy conservation for ambition.
Mm.
Don't waste the heat. Use it to fuel your own engine.
This is making so much sense. To really ground this idea that comparison is less about the other person and more about our own neglected potential or responsibility, the source material includes another story, right? A very personal anecdote from the author.
Yes, the second case study is deeply personal and really hits home on the theme of taking responsibility. It highlights how an instance of extreme jealousy forced an unavoidable, maybe long overdue, confrontation with her own choices and inaction.
Okay, tell us about it.
So the story takes place when the author, Mel Robbins, was in her 40s, before her career really took off. She describes a period of struggling significantly financially, feeling lost, trying to figure out her next step. Meanwhile, a close friend was undergoing a massive, elaborate, and undeniably beautiful house renovation.
Oh, the house comparison. That one's potent.
Isn't it? And while she emphasizes she was genuinely happy for her friend on one level, the constant awareness of this renovation, contrasted with her own financial stress, was apparently a source of constant low-grade misery and insecurity for her.
I think many people can relate to that feeling, being happy for someone, but also feeling that pang of, why not me?
Absolutely. And that misery apparently peaked when she finally went to see the finished house. She described the whole picture. The long, winding driveway, the professionally styled interiors. Beautiful. But the real trigger, the thing that pushed her over the edge emotionally, came during the interior tour.
What was it inside the house?
It was the spaces clearly built for family, community, and fun. Specifically, a large playroom loft area with a pool table, and this was the absolute killer detail for her, a specific bunk room filled with custom-built queen-size bunk beds.
Queen-size bunk beds. Why was that detail so significant?
Because, as she explains it, those queen-size bunk beds represented her own long-held, deeply internalized dream. The dream of having the house where all the kids hung out, the home that was the hub, full of effortless hospitality, sleepovers, communal joy. It was a core value manifested in furniture.
Wow. So seeing that specific dream realized so beautifully by someone else, especially while she felt stuck and struggling financially.
It apparently sent her into a complete self-pity spiral. In that moment, she let the jealousy completely overwhelm her genuine happiness for her friend. She described feeling insanely jealous and insecure, and ultimately feeling like a victim of her own life circumstances.
How did that play out?
It culminated in a pretty dramatic tantrum in the car with her husband, Chris, right after they left the friend's perfect bunk bed-filled house.
Oh, dear. What happened in the car?
She apparently just lashed out, completely externalizing the blame for her unhappiness. The argument got heated. She cried, "We'll never have a house like that," and then the blame shifted directly onto him. "Why did you have to go into the restaurant business? If you'd chosen a different career, we would have this kind of house by now."
Oof. That's a classic move, isn't it? When we're angry or disappointed with ourselves, we find the nearest target to weaponize.
Totally. It's deflection 101. But the really fascinating, life-altering discovery came later, apparently during marriage counseling, when they were unpacking that incredibly intense, painful moment in the car.
What did the therapy reveal that the heat of the moment had obscured?
It revealed something crucial. The intense anger and jealousy had almost nothing to do with her friend's beautiful house or even her husband's career choice in the restaurant business.
Really? What was it about then?
The truth, she realized, was far deeper and much more uncomfortable for her to face. The anger was directed squarely at herself.
Why at herself?
Because she had, over the years, effectively given up on her own ambition, her own drive, and her own ability to create the wealth and success she wanted. She had unconsciously put the responsibility for funding her dream life onto her husband's shoulders.
So she was counting on him to be successful enough to provide everything, thereby letting herself off the hook for figuring out her own path to achieving those dreams.
Exactly. The self-pity spiral, the blaming, it was actually a defense mechanism. It was hiding the terrifying fact that she had essentially checked out of actively creating her own desired future. She wasn't putting in her own reps towards her big goals.
Wow, that is a profound realization to come from a moment of intense jealousy over bunk beds.
Isn't it? And this experience became the crucible, the raw material for a core concept within the let them theory, which we can call the responsibility mandate.
The responsibility mandate.
The life-changing lesson she learned, the mandate, was this. Your life, your happiness, your success, your financial situation is fundamentally your responsibility. 100%. If you want financial success, if you want a renovated kitchen, if you want those damn queen-size bunk beds, it is your job, your responsibility to figure out how to create the wealth, the opportunity, the circumstances required to work towards it.
No one is coming to rescue you or hand it to you.
No one. She realized she had been avoiding that deeply uncomfortable truth maybe for over a decade. The jealousy was the alarm bell she couldn't ignore anymore.
So the jealousy actually served a vital purpose. It was like an emergency flare saying, wake up, stop blaming your husband, stop blaming your circumstances, stop resenting your friend, look at the specific dreams you have abandoned and take ownership of them again.
Precisely. And seeing her friend achieve that dream didn't actually steal her dream. Paradoxically, it showed her a bigger possibility for her own life, too. It kicked the door open to her own potential once she stopped seeing it as a judgment and started seeing it as evidence.
And did she get the bunk beds?
The source material finishes the anecdote by noting the satisfying result. It wasn't overnight. It took, she says, about 15 years of consistent, hard work, putting in her own reps in her own career. But eventually, yes, she achieved those queen-size bunk beds in her own home.
15 years. That really drives home the patience part of the 95% rule, doesn't it? Hard work, consistency, discipline, and patience.
Absolutely. The lesson from that story is so powerful. Jealousy often forces you, if you let it, to dig deep past the surface envy and get to the uncomfortable truth of where you've let yourself down, not where others have somehow unfairly succeeded or held you back. If you only stay on the surface, just stewing in resentment or wasting energy on things beyond your control, you'll never uncover or activate the deeper possibilities waiting within your own life.
Okay, so we've journeyed from comparison as torture through understanding it as a teacher via jealousy, looked at the need for reps and consistency, and seen how it ties into taking radical responsibility. If we synthesize this entire framework now, what are the core active pillars that someone listening needs to embrace?
It really boils down to two active steps, two mindsets you have to cultivate and act upon to overcome chronic comparison and actually start using it as a tool for your own growth.
What's the first pillar?
The first pillar is the mental shift, that proactive acceptance we talked about. Let them. This means consciously, deliberately stopping the waste of your precious time and emotional energy on judgment, resentment, or envy of others' success.
And instead,
you actively use their success as evidence that the thing is possible. You use it as inspiration. You study it as a specific formula or roadmap to potentially replicate or adapt. You truly let their success lead the way, internalizing the belief that their win is not your loss. It actually expands the possibilities for everyone, including you.
Okay, so let them is about managing your mindset and extracting data. What's the second pillar?
The second pillar is the essential action mandate. This is the critical moment where you pivot. You take all that activated energy, the insight, maybe even the frustration or motivation sparked by the comparison, and you focus it intensely inward.
Toward your own actions.
Exactly. You focus on playing the cards that you hold right now. You turn that external inspiration into internal, consistent action. This is the moment you commit to winning by playing with the examples others provide, not wasting energy playing against them. It's simply time to start putting in your own unique, maybe boring, but absolutely necessary daily reps towards your goals.
Let them observe and learn. Let me act and do.
You got it. That's the cycle. Observe, learn, act, repeat.
And the source material is pretty adamant about the ultimate benefit of really applying this two-pillar theory, isn't it? It talks about freedom.
Yes, ultimate freedom. And importantly, it's not just freedom from the negative feeling of comparison, although that's a huge relief. It's a deeper kind of freedom.
Okay.
It's the emotional freedom and empowerment that comes from knowing you are actively, consistently working toward your own meaningful goals based on information the world and other people's success is providing.
So it's less about ignoring others and more about focusing on your own progress.
Precisely. The more you practice this let them, let me cycle, the theory suggests, the more you free up mental space you didn't know was occupied, emotional energy you were wasting, and even actual time you were spending obsessing or complaining.
And what do you do with all that freed up resource?
You reinvest it. You stop obsessing over external metrics or what everyone else is doing, and you start focusing entirely on creating the best, most authentic next chapter of your life. You start showing up differently for yourself, for your work, for the people around you, because you're operating from a place of agency and purpose, not resentment or victimhood.
And that freedom, that sense of agency, it doesn't just apply to career or financial goals, does it? The source mentions it extends into personal relationships too.
Absolutely. That's flag as sort of the next frontier for applying this theory. Think about navigating relationships with family, friends, partners. How much energy do we waste wishing people were different, trying to control them, or getting frustrated by their choices?
A lot.
A huge amount. So the idea is you can apply the let them approach to people's behavior too. By releasing the expectation that others must change to meet your standards, by stopping the urge to control or fix them, you essentially let them be who they are.
That sounds hard, but also liberating.
It is. It allows you to accept people more genuinely, flaws and all. You stop making their choices mean something about you. And paradoxically, relationships often flourish when you release that pressure because you've taken back full responsibility for meeting your own needs and creating your own happiness rather than demanding it from others.
Fascinating. So the core principle applies across life domains.
It seems to. It's about focusing on what you can control, your mindset, your actions, your responses, and letting go of what you can't.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. We started this deep dive with comparison often feeling like self-torture, that thing that paralyzes us and makes us feel stuck.
Right, the default negative experience.
And we've journeyed through this framework to see how it can become our greatest teacher, providing a practical roadmap fueled by consistent, sometimes uncomfortable effort.
We've established, according to this theory at least, that you are likely not limited by your current circumstances or perceived internal flaws nearly as much as you think. That 95% of what you truly desire is probably achievable with the right approach.
Hard work, consistency, discipline, patience.
The reps.
The reps. The truth, revealed by these sources, if you embrace it, is that you likely have potential far beyond what you currently imagine. If you can just be honest with yourself about what that pang of jealousy is really pointing to.
The underlying desire or neglected ambition. Exactly. And if you then take full radical responsibility for creating that outcome for yourself, the theory suggests you will achieve it, or something meaningful along the way.
Yeah.
You just need to fundamentally shift your perspective. The person you envy isn't your rival. They're simply showing you a possible future. They're providing the proof of concept.
So as we wrap up, we always like to leave you, the listener, with a final provocative thought to mull over, something that builds on this framework.
Okay. Given everything we've discussed, the power of jealousy as data, the necessity of reps, the mandate of responsibility, consider this. What is one specific, maybe small, maybe boring, maybe slightly uncomfortable rep?
Just one.
Just one to start.
Yeah.
Whether it's literally 3 minutes of reviewing your finances each day, 10 minutes of rough drafting on that book idea, 20 minutes of walk-in, or making one difficult no phone call. What is one rep you can commit to starting today? Not tomorrow, today.
Why today?
To begin actively building the life you were once only capable of being jealous of.
That's powerful.
And then consider the ultimate reward, the long-term vision this framework offers. Imagine, truly imagine, waking up one day, maybe 5, 10, or like the author, 15 years from now, and realizing with a sense of profound satisfaction that you are right in the middle of living the life you used to look at others having with envy.
Wow.
That reality is achievable. But it only starts when you decide to stop wishing and start doing. When you shift from let them to let me. The first rep begins now. Get to it.